I was born into a fortunate family in the upper social status. My father is a renowned real estate developer and has countless properties in the country. He was able to make a name in the industry through perseverance and hard work. Aside from that, he was able to make friends with big personalities in the country. That is why he was able to have a vast network of connections. My mother always told me how people were so drawn to my father because of his work ethics, and people would talk about the future of his company. And with that, my father gained valuable allies and ruthless competitors. However, it didn't scare him to do better. Instead, it drove him to do better and to make his company better than everyone else. Many eyes were fixated onto the company. Some were supporting it, but most of them were just waiting for its downfall. So, when Mum and Dad married, my grandparents pressured them into having a child in order to solidify the line of success so that our company will continue to prosper. And after a few months, my mother conceived me. She would always narrate to me how everyone in the family celebrated the news of me. They threw a Thanksgiving party, and my dad even released a public press conference and statement about me. He was so happy to announce to everyone that the family legacy lives on. The first and second trimester of my mother's pregnancy was a bliss. Everyone took care of her, and she told me that our family was so fond of me even before I was born into the world. My mum was spoiled and nurtured carefully. She was filled with positivity and was happy mentally during her pregnancy. But everything suddenly changed by the time they knew about my gender. The moment that my dad received the news of me being a girl, he was disappointed. He always wanted a son, a male heir, because for him, a male child must always take precedence. My mum was devastated because my dad never missed a day reminding her how dismayed he was for having a daughter as his first kid. He believed that by having a son, the legacy would last a long time and his competitors will never dare to challenge him. It pains me every time my mother would tell me this tale because right until I was born, I never felt that he loved me. My older cousins even told me that my dad was absent during my first birthday because he chose to go on a business trip rather than celebrating a pink-filled girly birthday where he would just embarrass himself. Growing up, I could only count the times where he talked, smiled, and even touched me. It is as if he couldn't hold me because I have some kind of illness or something. But in short, he just hates my entire existence. When I was 3, I could vividly recall how my mum and dad often fought about me. "Neil, she is your daughter. Do not neglect her. You are hurting the child." My dad scoffed, as if she'd said something awful. "I am not neglecting the child. I am simply denying her existence." I was too young to realise and understand what he said, but I saw my mum welled in tears, and there I realised that my father said something that could hurt her. She came to me and hugged me so tightly. I panicked because my mother couldn't stop crying. "You don't have to say that in front of her. Even if she's not the child you so deeply want, she is still yours. Your blood runs deep in her, and you couldn't just deny that she does not exist. How heartless can you be?" My father said something that I never knew would change my life. "Well, I'll find another child to become my heir. I will never have a weakling girl like her to take over my hard-earned company. I will disown her if I have to, just to save my legacy and reputation." My mother looked at him with her eyes full of tears. "You are so selfish, Neil. I never knew you would go that low." My mother hugged me and carried me to my room to save me from all of my father's painful words. She was the only person that truly protected me and genuinely loved me. She never failed to let me feel appreciated and accepted. And she is my role model and champion. I couldn't imagine my life without her by my side, because for me, she was the only person that could understand me. She was my only family. Until one day, our lives changed. my father decided to adopt a child from the war refugee in our country. My mother agreed because she herself is a philanthropist, so my father took the opportunity to adopt a boy and to finally fulfill his lifelong desire to have a son. I was merely a 4-year-old girl when Diego, a 7-year-old stranger to me, entered our lives. My father's eyes lit up at the sight of him, his decision to adopt fueled by an unexplainable yearning. Though my heart brimmed with innocence and curiosity, my status as the biological daughter meant nothing in a world that craved a male heir. At that moment, I truly felt that I meant nothing to my father. It seemed like he finally got what he wanted, and I am nothing but a speck of dust in his life, invisible and dirty. And growing up, I could truly feel the favoritism and biased treatment of my father. He favoured Diego more than me. I was overshadowed and severely neglected because all of the attention was showered onto Diego. Even though I have achieved better things than him, my father would still praise him for doing the bare minimum, while I received nothing despite doing my best. The unfair treatment truly left a childhood trauma in me, as well as suppressed father issues. And it truly affected me while growing up. The years flowed by, tainted with the scent of injustice and favouritism. But despite all of it, I continued to do my best and make my mum and dad proud. I know that one day they will be able to appreciate my hard work, especially my father. Diego and I were never close. I didn't hate him. In fact, I accepted him as my brother wholeheartedly. It was him who had this issue toward me. He kept on ignoring and mocking me as if I have done anything wrong to him. And I could sense the arrogance in him because he always bragged of being the heir of the company, because my father planted that narrative in his mind since the first day he came into our life. Diego grew into his role with a sense of entitlement, his every whim catered to, while I was left to navigate a world full of disappointment. It was as if the very sun of my father's affection had been shadowed by Diego's presence, leaving me to forge my identity in the darkness he cast. For many people, I was just the daughter who will inherit nothing. I am just a nobody, a spare and second choice. My life has been branded and labelled that way, and I couldn't feel less, even more. I am already used to it. Diego's arrogance swelled with time, fueled by the riches he bathed in. I cringed every time he would say something about the company, when in fact he doesn't even take the effort to learn how to run a business. He just splurged all the riches and privileges that he has and bragged it to everyone. Mother always encouraged him to learn at an early age the ways that my dad does in the office, but he'll just mock her and told her that, there's no need to learn. I know I am capable, that's why I am the heir. So can you just stop making me do something? I just want to hang out with my friends, not stay in a sickening office. When I become CEO, I will turn it into a gaming hub. He laughed, as if we were happy to hear what he said. He always acts like this in front of me and Mum, but whenever Dad is around, he would behave serious and smart, as if he was truly interested in learning our business. We would just keep silent and ignore all his ridiculous doings. Every time Father was away and went overseas, he would throw a party in our house. The mansion would echo with extravagant parties and luxurious living that marked his every day. He boasted all our wealth to everyone, as if he was born with it. His arrogance was like a venomous serpent, and his boasting was a constant reminder of the affection he stole from me. Father never knew about his true colours. I didn't have the guts to tell him that he keeps on disrespecting Mother and bullying me, because after all, he is Dad's favourite. So there's no point if I would take the time to tell Dad about his behaviour. It's just a waste of time. Years passed and I finished college. I took on a higher position in the company and worked hand in hand with my father while Diego decided to get married and live their best life. And when I say best life, It means splurging all the money that my father earns. Because Diego doesn't have a job, nor have plans to even help working in the company. He is just using our money for his personal endeavours. And his wife, Violet, would just tolerate him. But as destiny spun its web, illness descended upon our lives. My father's health deteriorated, and I found myself embracing the role he had failed to envision for me. A leader, a caretaker, the backbone of our family's empire. He was confined to the hospital, and I took the role of officer in charge, CEO. I did my best to keep the company steady. In fact, I was able to solve 2 major problems in the company, and as a result, the stocks and profits skyrocketed and brought back the company at the top. My father saw my hard work and efforts despite his deteriorating health. I promised him that I will never leave the company crumbling. I will do my best to keep it standing as long as I can. All of this happened while Diego was jet-setting around the globe with his wife, splurging all their wealth and fulfilling their lavish lifestyle. Meanwhile, Father was fighting for his, and he didn't even dare to come home to help with Dad's needs or even assist in running the company. But instead of getting stressed out of his nuisances, I focused on navigating the labyrinth of boardrooms and balance sheets, and I made my grit and dedication a shield against adversity. 3 months had passed, and there was still no sign of Diego. My father's health didn't improve, and he's still suffering from his illnesses. The climax of our narrative approached with my father's final moments. It was my touch that soothed his fevered brow, my voice that whispered reassurances. In his final breath, he chose to acknowledge the unbreakable bond that had grown between us, entrusting me with the company that I'd worked hard for. "Marie, come closer, my dear." It was the first time he called me dear, and it melted my heart, healing every corner of it. I immediately approached his bedside. "Yes, Dad?" He reached for my hands and gently touched them. "You've always been the one to stand by my side, haven't you?" He smiled at me, and I nodded in response with tears welling up in my eyes. "Yes, Dad, I've tried my best." I answered him in the softest voice. "You've not just tried your best, my dear. You've exceeded all expectations. In these times of my absence, you've held this company together with unwavering dedication and loyalty. You proved me wrong. I am sorry for all the years that I have wasted. I was so focused on the idea of having a son when the perfect child was right in front of me all along. You were the one who never left me alone. I will always be proud of you." I wiped my tears as I started to well down quickly. "Thank you, Dad." "I've been blind, Marie, blinded by my own biases, by the illusion of a legacy carried forward by my blood. But you, my dear, you have a legacy of your own, a legacy of resilience, of strength. I am so proud of who you have become." My tears started to flow. It became unstoppable, and I could feel my inner child healing. I can't believe you're saying this." "In my final moments, I want you to know that you are the rightful heir, not because you share my blood, but because you've proven yourself with actions, not words. It's time for the world to see the truth, and you don't have to worry. My lawyer has already drafted you in my will." I couldn't stop myself crying. I was so overwhelmed with emotions right now. "I will make you proud, Father, I promise." He smiled at me, full of serenity. "I already am, my dear. Always remember, it's not about the name you carry, but the values you uphold." "I won't forget, Father. I will carry your values with me always. He closed his eyes, and it felt like my world shrank. Then I can rest in peace. I squeezed his hand gently as I saw him closing his eyes. Sleep now, Father. You've given me the strength to carry on. As if destiny had grown tired of the injustice, the changes that Father revealed before he died shook the foundation of our family. The inheritance, the power, the legacy, it was mine. A truth that shattered the illusions Diego had built. His arrogance met a formidable opponent, the swift hand of justice, and a sister unwilling to be eclipsed any longer. Diego came to the funeral and mourned, but he just kept on looking for the lawyer, asking for his inheritance. How insensitive of him. "Where is the lawyer? I want to talk to him immediately." My mother told him that the meeting can wait and that we must take the time to mourn first. "I can't wait any longer. I want all my inheritance to be transferred to me at once." And then I stepped in. All the inheritance was transferred to me, Diego. He looked at me in disbelief and laughed his heart out, and his wife joined him. "Oh, little girl, spare us with the jokes." Diego wiped the tears he got from the laughing too hard. "Oh, stop being disillusioned, little sister. The company is mine because I am the son. Father made sure that I know that." "But are you a biological child?" I dropped the first blow. I had had enough of his arrogance. He kept quiet and wandered his sight around the room. All eyes were on us. He looked at me angrily. "Do not say that." He blurted out those words with anger and conviction, but I was not scared. "Well, you see it for yourself then. The lawyer will discuss with you about my inheritance." I left them there and went back to usher the mourners. After the funeral, the conspiracy brewed in the shadows was revealed in no time. Violet and Diego conspired to forge the will and transferred it to their name. They even bribed the lawyer with money. But little did they know that the lawyer they had enlisted to aid their treachery turned out to be my childhood confidant, a revelation that sent shockwaves through their arrogant hearts. Their faces twisted in disbelief as the veil of their deception unravelled, exposing their toxic ambition for all to see. The taste of victory was sweet. My heart remained steadfast in teaching them a lesson. They were arrested for forgery and other illegal transactions. Diego and Violet begged for forgiveness, but it was too late. Their selfishness led them to this disaster. In the aftermath of their public disgrace, I discovered that forgiveness was not an act of weakness, but a testament to my strength. They were convicted because I didn't close the doors for restoration. The echoes of their humiliation reverberated through our shared history, but my commitment to unity and redemption remained steadfast. The shadows that had plagued us for so long began to fade, replaced by the dawning light of a family seeking healing and transformation. Amid the mending of our family's fractured bonds, it was evident that my journey was far from over. The empire my father had crafted was now under my care, its success a testament to my determination and resilience. Each decision I made, each challenge I conquered, was a nod to the power of hard work and the triumph of merit over entitlement. The chapters that followed painted a picture of a family in transformation. While Diego and Violet faced the consequences of their actions, I extended my hand not in victory, but in the hope that they would find their way back to the path of integrity. The bitterness of the past gradually gave way to a newfound understanding, and a hesitant reconciliation began to take root. It was in my nature to extend empathy, to see humanity even in those who had wronged me. The understanding that Diego's arrogance had been nurtured by circumstances beyond his control allowed me to view him through a different lens. His toxic ambition was merely a facade, a misguided attempt to secure the love he had always craved. In those moments of vulnerability, Diego shared his regrets, his remorse for the path he had chosen. It was then that I realised the weight of my own humility and strength. Forgiveness wasn't just an act of kindness. It was an acknowledgement of my capacity to rise above the shadows that had threatened to consume us. As the days turned into years, the empire flourished under my careful guidance, expanding its influence and touching lives beyond our family. The legacy of my father's empire underwent a metamorphosis, a reflection of the transformation that had taken place within our family's dynamics. And as the wounds of the past healed, the scars of our shared history became a testament to our resilience and growth. The revelation of truth and the subsequent consequences weren't merely a tale of revenge. They were the catalyst for change, the spark that ignited a fire of redemption and self-discovery. In embracing my own strength, I had paved the way for a new beginning, not just for myself, but for everyone entwined in our intricate narrative. The echoes of deceit and treachery gradually faded into the background, overshadowed by the symphony of unity and resilience that had taken their place. Our family's story had been rewritten, not by the hand of revenge, but by the pen of truth and the power of forgiveness. And as time moved forward, the shadows of our past were replaced by a future brimming with hope and possibility. Just like Marie, are you willing to forgive those who wronged you? Let us know your thoughts.